Welcome to Flow Stars, candid conversations between Dr. Peter O'Toole and the big hitters of flow cytometry. Brought to you by Beckman Coulter at Bite Size Bio.
In this special episode of Flow Stars, recorded live in Edinburgh at CYTO 2024 with special guests, we discuss some of the leading topics in flow cytometry, including what changes cytometrists would like to see.
Maybe making it more widespread available to everybody. Especially costly instruments are really tough to get hands-on for people, especially in Northwestern countries.
The importance of encouraging young researchers to consider flow cytometry as a research tool.
Adopting new technology, getting the scientists in the university to utilize something new. If you tell them, hey, we can detect EVs, we can detect viruses, a lot of them are very reticent about it, and they like the technologies that they're familiar with.
And we reflect on the capabilities of the current cytometers.
But remember, the important to have the possibility to sorting these. Now we can do it.
How are you doing it?
With the Cytoflex SRT.
All in this episode of Flow Stars.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and a very warm welcome to our evening event. Okay, hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome you to our live episode of Flow Stars here from CYTO 2024. My name is Mario Koch. I'm leading the global marketing and medical scientific affairs teams of Beckman Coulter. And we're very happy and very fortunate to have you all here with us tonight. My job is a very easy one, so my role is to introduce our host for tonight. And in case, if you are aware of what Flow Star is, you know him already. If you don't know what Flow Stars is, it's a very simple explanation. It's a podcast that we have started 2-3 years ago, Beckman Coulter Life Sciences, together with Bite Size Bio. And Flow Stars is about interviewing the stars in flow cytometry. And this is what Peter O'Toole is doing. So if you go to the YouTube channel, you can learn a lot about what happened in flow cytometry, big milestones. You're going to see and meet the movers and shakers in flow cytometry in our industry. And you get good insights into where this technology, the applications are going in the future. For me, now, my role, as I said, is to get us started. So therefore, it's my great pleasure to introduce Peter O'Toole. Peter is the head of the technology facility at the University of York. He's head of the Department of Imaging and Cytometry. And as you know, 1, 2, 3, one more, he's also the president of the Royal Microscopy Society. So please join me and welcome Peter O'Toole to the stage. Thank you.
Wow, you're all in the dark as far as I'm concerned. Well, you are about what we're going to talk about. Okay, evening, everybody. Thank you. Okay, so it is a live podcast. We will be recording it in front of a live audience. So be careful of sound, please, just for our guests themselves. Okay, they like to be heard. Not as much as I like to be heard. Okay, so the easiest thing, actually, I've got an easy job because lots of you have actually posted questions for our guests this evening. So thank you, Beckman Coulter, for allowing us to do this, and thank you for everyone who's actually sent in their questions. If you're happy to actually put your hand up when I talk about your question, please do. I bet no one does. Okay. So our first guest for this evening is Claudia Radu from Italy. We have Vera Tang from Canada. And André Görgens from Sweden. See, I did get all your questions. So actually, the first bit of the evening is they all have something in common. is that none of them think that size matters. Yeah. So I think there's a commonality that big isn't everything, and they're all into the small and beautiful things, the small particles. So there is actually a common theme about this, and I thought we'd start on that, especially because of the nano system that's been coming out. So actually, I'm going to ask first, who has a Cytoflex? Claudia?
Yes, absolutely. Not
Yeah.
only one.
Not only one, how many?
I have Cytoflex and Cytoflex SRT, the sorting.
You have a sorting one?
Yeah.
And Vera,
I have one.
you have one?
I have one.
Only one?
Cytoflex S.
Okay. So the small one, that's okay.
It is a small one. It's dedicated for the small stuff.
And André?
I don't have one. No.
Oh!
I have one in the core facility nearby, though, that I can use whenever I want. And I've used one in the lab I've been before, but not in our own lab. Currently.
You don't have one?
Sorry?
Cool, you have someone to sell to. Okay, so actually one of the first audience questions that came in was, what made you select flow cytometry as a technology that you want to stay hours working with? Who asked that question? No one's brave enough to say yes to it. But someone asked the same question in a different way, which is, what made you choose a career in flow cytometry, or did you choose it? So I'm going to start with Vera on this one.
Did I choose it? So I have a PhD. I'm an immunologist by training. I did a lot of viral immunity, always been interested in viruses. So I've done a lot of flow. Did I really want a career as a core facility manager? That was not planned. But after postdoc, the core facility director at the time said, do you want a job? And I said, yes, I want to be employed. And 12 years later, here we are.
And André?
I didn't really choose it, but I did my PhD in hematopoietic stem cell biology. So then, consequently, you have to use flow cytometers, and that's where I learned and got in contact with flow cytometers. So obviously, I began to love them, love to set assays up and use them on a daily basis. So that's how it started.
So you started in your immunology and then differentiated into flow cytometry. I guess that's appropriate. Claudia?
I think so that cytometry choose me. Yeah. Because at the university say you have to work with extracellular vesicles. Oh no, with the breeze. I need something to see them. And I start with cytometry. And choose me. Because cytometry from Beckman is the only one that works really with extracellular vesicles, with the breeze at the first.
She's not being paid to say that. That's a point out. Okay, so actually, there's a really interesting question that came in. So what hurdles have you faced in your career, and what actions have you actually taken to ensure that they don't happen again? So what hurdles have you faced in your career? It's the person who asked that question in here? I knew this would happen. No one's going to admit to anything. We have to remove the anonymity, the word that means we don't know who you are. Claudia?
I think so that one of the big problems for all the researchers is to find funds, money to buy the instruments.
Yeah.
This is the problem of all our career. You have to work with instruments, big instruments with little money, or important instruments. But I convinced it. My institution to buy for me.
But wouldn't it be easier if they sold it as cheaper?
No. I think
Service.
service.
And actually, Viva also, go on, what did you say, Viva?
I said the service.
Yeah, the cost of the service? Yeah. That as a core facility, that's one of the
Yes.
biggest challenges, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Actually, for us in Canada, it's not as hard to get funding to buy equipment, but it is challenging to keep supporting the equipment and getting adequate support for our equipment, well-trained engineers.
So what would you say your biggest hurdle is, though?
Adopting new technology, getting the scientists in the in the university to utilize something new, if you tell them, you know, hey, we can detect EVs, we can detect viruses, a lot of them are very reticent about it, and they like the technologies that they're familiar with.
Okay. And André?
There's definitely been a lot, but I mean, one that comes to mind is moving from my PhD lab in Germany to the lab in Sweden I went to understand EVs more, because it's like a known lab for EV engineering already at that time, which was like 7-8 years ago already. And one challenge was definitely to convince them to use flow cytometry for EVs, because at that time it wasn't like a no-brainer, and it wasn't used a lot, and not in a good way necessarily. So convincing them to buy a flow cytometer for me to do my research was quite some hurdle, I would say.
Okay, so I said at the start the size doesn't matter, and yet here we all are talking about size. You've all gone down the small particle route. Are you satisfied with where we are with regards to analysis of vibrant particles, EVs, small particles?
No, we got to keep pushing.
Got to keep pushing?
Got to keep pushing.
Okay, André?
I mean,
Okay, Viv?
No, I fully agree, but I mean, it's an exciting time, and we have made quite some progress, but I fully agree, we have to keep pushing.
but I think when it comes to viruses, there are a lot of sort of relevant viruses that are much smaller. A lot of people are into CAR T cells now. AAVs are being used everywhere, and they are 26 nanometers. So if you want to phenotype those, you got to get down.
It's actually, I'm going to widen the question. Why is flow cytometry, it can't do 26 nanometers, so why is flow cytometry so good for the small particle analysis?
I think so that you need a basic cytometry that go with low ranges of EVs, because you know the problem of the old cytometers is to detect under 200 nanometers. And then we remember that the technology did not stop. And we need every time new technology, new instruments go every time lower in the range of for EVs, for virus, for everything.
Okay. André?
I mean, it's a very good fit. Of course, there are other complementary methods, but it's just a good fit because it's quantitative and it can be made very specific. So we can run, and it can be made relatively high throughput at the current stage. Of course, there's room for improvement. But that means that you can run a lot of samples while being sure that what you measure is specifically EVs or other small particles, and it can be very accurate and quantitative. So that's a huge advantage.
Single particle analysis, sensitivity, fast, cheap.
Yep.
Once you bought the instrument, and if you think about it, like the sensitivity that you get, the ability to assess that heterogeneity in a sample, they're really, I mean, how many other options are there?
No one's mentioned color.
Sorry?
No one's mentioned color. There's lots of particles
Parameters?
analyzed out there, but the colors, aren't they
Yeah.
important?
Yes, but how many parameters are you going to do on an EV?
Yeah.
Just the no, yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
More than one.
just the EV is small. You don't need to use 3-4 colors.
But I mean, multi-parameter, I mean,
Yeah,
that is, but that
multi-parameter.
is part of the single particle assessing heterogeneity aspects, I guess.
But remember, the important to have the possibility to sorting EVs. Now we can do it
How are you doing it?
with a Cytoflex SRT, Cytoflex sorting. And you can go to understand what have inside, what is the cargo of these EVs, of extracellular vesicles, with next generation sequencing, with analysis the proteins, lipidomics, proteomics.
And what size are you getting down to on an SRT then?
Now 70 nanometers. It's okay. Important is to clear.
Yeah, I was at a workshop earlier today talking about Isaac and maybe setting up mentorship programs. Do you know what I think we need? Well, I need mentoring, because I think there's a lot of skills to get to that level, especially on SRT. I think that's a really good point actually for Isaac to think about is getting these specialist areas as well. And maybe it's Karen somewhere, I think, went on and where was it you went and did your shadowing with Andres? Okay. So again, so we sent off because the skill sets for small particle, there's a lot of sample prep side. It's not just the analysis, is it?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, most of the time I think is, at least in our lab, spent on planning the experiment, really knowing what the material is and preparing the sample before you actually run the experiment. And I mean, if you run for a new question experiment the first time, you have to validate, answer questions how you run your sample and how you use your different probes. So there's a lot of homework to do before you can start. Once everything is set up, you can run pretty much a lot of samples very fast. But the start for any new setup is a bit more laborious. Yeah.
I remember when Coulter brought out the Nanoflex, and I'd just seen the Lego Cytoflex. And I genuinely thought that was a nano. No, obviously I didn't genuinely think that was a nano. It doesn't matter.
It's a pocket cytometer.
Yeah. So the next question, someone says, do you name your cytometers? I'm going to start closest to me because I think the answer is yes here.
Yeah, have a name. The Cytoflex sortings, the name is Tito Bello.
Which means?
Tito Bello is dolls from children, and is a male. It's very nice dolls, small dolls, and I say that is my Tito Bello.
So you're saying it's your child?
Yeah.
Okay. Vera?
I didn't name my Cytoflex. I did name my Astrios at one point.
Can you repeat its name?
I named her Sybil.
Sorry?
I named her Sybil, the woman with the split personality and the 7 different personalities. You didn't want bad Sybil.
I didn't name any of them. Very unromantic.
I'm never sure why they called it a MoFlow, because it's one letter short of a no flow. I never really. I love my legacy MoFlow that I used to have. I love my Astrios as well. Right? Just quickly say that. Do you know what? This isn't a question. So I don't know who. I used to worry about causing DNA damage in my cells by exposing them to UV light source. Now I worry about cooking them with my infrared light source with the 808 nanometer lasers. I don't think you'll find it's not really a big little microwave. It's not going to cook your samples at 808 nanometers. So what is your favorite tool or instrument in your lab? I'm going to start with Vera this time.
I have all flow cytometers in my lab.
So which is your favorite?
Well, you can't say that.
Oh, you can.
It's like picking a favorite child.
Oh, you can then.
Whichever one gives me the least problems at a time. I have to say my Cytoflex and I, we had some troublesome times. We had some, challenging parts of our relationship, and now we're finally at, equilibrium.
It's got over the teenage years.
We figured out each other. I now know what it's complaining about, and I address the issue before it starts.
André, favorite tool, instruments?
I really also can't make a definitive choice. I mean, depending on the purpose, they are all great to some extent. What I definitely spent the most time with is the Amnis image stream and later on the cell stream, just because I used them for EV analysis early on and spent hours and hours sitting. And
you've got a nice YouTube on that, haven't you?
Sorry?
You've got a nice new YouTube lecture.
I think there's something on YouTube about it, yeah.
See, I've done my research.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's not bad.
This was the early days. So.
I can't do differences between my babies. Sorry. It's 2. And now I wait for the small one, the Cytoflex Nano. I can do differences.
Okay. So some quick fire questions for you. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee?
Tea.
Tea?
Coffee.
Coffee. Sorry? Beer or wine?
Beer.
Neither.
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 Scotch.
Right?
Which was my next question. Chocolate or cheese?
Chocolate. Chocolate.
Oh, what would you say?
Chocolate or cheese?
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
chocolate?
that's
Chocolate.
Chocolate versus cheese.
Chocolate.
I thought you said chips.
Both great, I guess. Cheese, yeah.
Cheese. Okay, chocolate or chips, just for you. Chips. French fries or chunky chips?
No, Canadian, flat, crispy, crispy, crisps.
Oh, you need to, come on, you're in the UK now. Okay? Yeah. What's your favourite colour?
Blue,
Blue?
blue, yeah.
Black.
Black. Is that a colour?
Absence of color.
Pink.
Sorry?
Pink.
Pink. Fluorescent.
Ooh.
See, you call yourself cytometrists and you can't even think of choosing a colour itself. If you could change one thing with flow cytometry, what would you change? I'll start with André.
That's a tough one.
It is.
Yeah, maybe making it more widespread available to everybody. Especially costly instruments are really tough to get hands-on for people, especially in Northwestern countries.
Okay, so low middle income countries
Yeah,
side of things. Okay.
that could be changed. Would be great.
So again, I'll give a plug for Isaac and the working group that's tasked with doing that as well.
Less mysterious, less of a black box. So
But
people
I thought you liked black.
get caught. No, for more people to understand that what they're seeing is actual physical phenomena and it's not magic, and just don't blame the instrument all the time when something goes wrong.
Oh, I never blame the instruments.
You never do.
No, I never. I blame Karen. I had a sympathy vote for Karen over there. I didn't mean that Karen, I meant my other Karen. Sorry, Karen, if you're watching. I'm joking, I meant that Karen. Doesn't matter. It was Graham's fault. Claudia?
Not change anything, but only to say to go down with the money, to buy all the people can the possibility to buy Cytoflex.
Back on the side of the cost and the value of that. So actually, we've only got about 7-8 minutes left. I'd like to introduce Matthew Goff from Beckman Coulter. Where's Matthew? So Matthew's here to do a little teaser in a minute, but not yet, before we launch that, because Matthew's also going to be assaulted with questions. So who hosts the best CYTO party?
Oh,
Flojo.
in all of history, I'm sorry to my current employer, pre-BD Flojo. They had the best parties. They did.
Oh, you can't clap. Who's
Oh,
clapping?
come on, they were huge.
who's
Everybody
clapping
knows
on
they
that?
were huge. Okay, all right.
Okay. Vera, best CYTO party. Tonight.
Oh, okay. Tonight.
Yeah, that's right. And André.
Obviously, Beckman Coulter. Yeah.
Very cool too.
This one.
Yeah. You're
I know,
advocating
I know.
that.
I'm gonna hear about it later.
When you retire, will you ever look at another cytometer? And I'm going to start actually at that end and come round. André, would you ever look at another cytometer?
I'm
when
pretty
you
sure,
retire?
yeah. I mean, I don't see any reason to never look back or something. I mean, it's something I like.
Yeah.
I would like to have one
Okay.
at home.
Vera?
Sure, why not? What's the price? For the right price?
Claudia?
Yes, but I prefer Cytoflex, and I'm very jealous for my cytometer.
So you're going to retire with your Cytoflex?
Yeah.
So that comes to another thing, is the longevity of the instruments and making sure they last a long time, because you're not going, that's a long way away yet.
my retirement plans involve a van and wineries and a cytometer, so I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to go do the contract work and keep my hands busy.
So a question from last year. Who's hosted the best CYTO meeting as a whole? I'm going to start with Vera.
Vancouver, Canadian.
Vancouver. I thought Montreal. No, it doesn't matter. I won't get. Oh. Claudia?
We don't do till now. Maybe Italy in the next future.
Okay.
Was the best.
So the question was, what
The best
was the
CYTO.
best? So I liked all of the CYTO meetings, but I mean the first one I think was for me in Boston, 2017 or something.
Boston.
And I remember that being a really great meeting and a great experience to like see a new world of people being into the same thing.
Seattle was really good
And
too.
Seattle.
Yes.
Seattle was really good.
Matthew?
I'm going to defer to the crowd. I would be split pretty hard between Vancouver and Boston. They were both pretty excellent meetings.
So, organisers of Edinburgh.
Jury's
I
still
choose
out.
Edinburgh.
It's
Jury's
not
still
over
out.
yet.
Come on. Day one.
Come on, stay
We
with
have
day one.
we have to see the future, Italy.
Okay.
There you go.
So I have to know.
There.
So this is like a bit like a chat show host where someone comes on near the end because they're promoting their book. Okay. So Matthew's up here to actually give us a little teaser. And actually, if we could just run the video, we can just show the teaser for Matt.
Oh, yes.
So Matthew, tell us about your book.
Yeah. We've always been proud of what the Cytoflex has been able to do, and it's not been lost on us that our customers wanted to move forward and wanted to move into a spectral space. And the question for the longest time has been, how do you get there? You know, how do you approach it from a novel angle, a novel, offering that is attractive to the researchers and is, fundamentally different than what they have access to right now. And so after some time, we found something that we think carries a really strong message around sustainability, growth, the concept of Cytoflex in and of itself, right? The ability to evolve with your system and to have your system evolve with your needs. And so we're excited to show this poster of our prototype system. As you can see, we have the top half of it here. This is up, and our wonderful Kelly Andrews, one of our senior or staff development scientists, is here supporting that and is happy to answer your questions on the data that we acquired. And if you want to know how we acquired it and kind of what we're working on behind the scenes, we invite you to our innovation suite. We'd love to host you and talk to you, get your feedback, and entertain some questions. And for those of you, if the timing doesn't work out and you still want to have that conversation, let us know and we'll figure out a way to make it work.
Do you know what's amazed me is we can see the poster down here as well as up on the wall, and all three guests were hooked on that poster, looking at it, trying to work it out.
Yeah, this is a poster of our 40 color OMIB 69 clone panel run on our 88 detector prototype system.
88.
88. Yeah.
88.
88 detectors. Yeah, paired to our Cytoflex LX.
So, if I'm brutal, I did say I was coming up for a hard time.
Yeah.
Sorry. Everyone's doing spectrum.
That's true.
So, what's different?
Yeah, I think the approach is different. I think going at this from the direction of, I'll brag a little bit. We're very proud of this. The middle of last year, we celebrated the 10,000th sale of a Cytoflex, or of a Flex instrument, right? And that's across an incredible portfolio, including the Cytoflex S, LX, DX Flex, and SRT. And now with the Nano coming into vogue in the last month, we saw an opportunity to enhance enhance the analytical power that our customers have access to right now, and a chance to offer an incredible value proposition to customers that want to start in a particular place and grow into another, or customers that are looking for full-scale additional capabilities that aren't available in the market right now.
So it sounds cool, but you've got the poster. But how? I'm intrigued because it has taken a time.
It has taken a
for you
time.
to come. So what was so hard about getting it there?
I don't think that it was technically hard. I think what was hard was presenting something that was actually novel, right? In an approach, I think it's not hard to put more lasers or more detectors on an instrument. I don't think that that's an insurmountable task at all. I think that building and sustaining a software system and coming up with a way to solve problems that exist, right? Coming up with a new algorithm strategy, coming up with an approach to make something, financially and technically accessible, right? That's what we really focused on. I don't think that it's entirely difficult to just build a new box. I think what's difficult is to look at other challenges that exist in flow cytometry, namely the questions that we see from the community, questions about sustainability, questions about accessibility.
Okay, so I think there's a poster to go and see about
Yep.
this. Is there anything else you want to add to this?
No, we're really excited about this, and we're really excited to show you what we've done to pair with those of you that want to pair with us, and to see what we can do in the future. It's got incredible potential, and we can't wait to see what it can do in your hands.
Okay. Interesting?
Yes, definitely interesting. Will it have an auto sampler though?
Well,
Have an auto sampler.
Well, it does. It's an extension of our LX and our S platform, so it does have an auto sampler
That's great.
already ready to go.
Just
Yeah.
poking him because
No, we had this conversation.
Vera?
So you're saying my existing LX or S can be upgraded?
I'm saying that your existing S or LX can be upgraded, and don't think of this as a classic like tear the guts out and change it upgrade. This is an additional capability.
Cool.
So.
Claudia?
Very interesting. Just I have to find other money to buy it.
I was going to ask Claudia,
My
you asked
institution.
how much is it going to cost? I was waiting for you to ask that question. And then say it's way too expensive, it needs to be lower.
Because
And the service needs. What about service contract price?
Well, we're still in the midst of figuring out all the numbers on the back end, but we expect to be able to put it well within customer expectations. We are reaching out to customers and getting an idea of what is the right price, what is the right price.
So what's the right price in the service contract? Okay, come with the Beaver, this was your question on service. What would be the right price for service contract?
Well, I think right now industry standards is 10% of purchase price.
It's not in the UK.
What is it?
You've not seen my... I was on the... Yeah. You should never be 10% of a purchase price because it's ridiculous. And actually, in the UK, for the microscopy world, it's about 3.5%. It depends what's on it. And actually, I think the UK is pretty... I think Coulter applaud, actually, at this point, service contracts in the UK aren't outrageous.
Why is that?
Maybe we negotiate. Maybe they sell it us for a lot more. Maybe we're overpaying for the product to start with. I don't know.
I am. This is where I get to pull the eject cord. I'm a box and product guy. Service is its own product, and it has its own life cycle and its own conversations with customers. And so that's something that we do.
There's not been enough scotch for this
Yeah,
conversation.
there's not been nearly enough scotch for this conversation.
And that's a beautiful thing. So now we do have whiskey tasting at the back. So as you go out in the back corner, so go taste some whiskey. We then have a Kaylee running in here for your. It's a bit like flow cytometry dynamics, okay? If there's a lot of turbulence, it goes back and wrong. If everyone synchronizes, it's spot on. So I think if you could all join me, please, to just thank our guest this evening. And finally, a big thank you to Beckman Coulter for the entertainment and the hosting and their hospitality this evening. So Beckman Coulter, thank you. Enjoy your evening.